Okay.
Welcome, everybody. I'm happy to present Marilyn L. Taylor with her session on villanelles, the fine art of repeating yourself. Marilyn is a former poet laureate of the state of Wisconsin and the city of Milwaukee. She is the author of 8 collections of poetry and the editor of the anthology titled Love Affairs at Villanelle. She also co-edits 2 poetry journals, Third Wednesday and Verse Virtual. Her work has appeared in Poetry, Able Muse, Measure, and the American Scholar, and it has won awards in a number of poetry competitions, including the Margaret Reed Poetry Prize for Verse in Forms and the 2021 Better Than Starbucks Sonic Contest. A former Milwaukeean, she now lives in Madison, where she continues to present readings and independent workshops locally, statewide, and elsewhere. Her new collection, which I will link to in the chat, Outside the Frame, New and Selected Poems, is now available from her website.
Yes.
Welcome, Marilyn. And then
Thank you.
just tell me what you want me to have on the screen. And then
Okay.
I change it to speaker view for the recording so that we experience Marilyn.
Do I tell you when I'm, just starting and you'll just be looking at me?
Yep.
Okay, that's now. So I could be the bigger picture. Is that how it works? The bigger photograph? Okay, it
Correct.
doesn't matter. But I want to say thank you personally, Tori. You've been so helpful over the last few weeks when we've been planning this. And I am thrilled to be here, especially when there's so many of my good friends in these little boxes. This is wonderful. And some people that I don't know, which is also very exciting. I appreciate your coming to hear what I have to say. And I appreciate your coming for the last Thursday evening in spring. Did you know that? Spring is ending and summer is starting like in a day or two. I can't believe it. Where did it go? But I think it's perfect timing for learning how to build a villanelle. Building a villanelle, and it's called building because it's complicated. It was practically unheard of in poetry circles a few decades ago, because if you weren't quite ready to howl like Allen Ginsberg, or you weren't quite ready to agonize like Plath and Robert Lowell and Anne Sexton, there was obviously something wrong with you. So especially if you were given in the first place to writing things in fancy forms, and people thought that you were a little bit crazy. And as the last couple 3 decades in the 1990s, there was actually a lot of arguments in print about this duplication of approaches to poetry, which seemed diametrically opposed. And it was even called the poetry wars in many circles and in print publications. And of course, the world knew nothing and couldn't give a crap about any of this. But we did, we poets did. And for a while, there was an awful lot of back and forthing in Poets and Writers and in Poetry Magazine. And then, let's see, what was I'm getting ahead of myself. But it never completely went away. The formal poetry never completely went away at all. It was just becoming overwhelmed with free verse, as we all know. But there was Richard Wilbur, and there was Wendy Cope, and of course there was always Robert Frost and Gwendolyn Brooks. And these people were always, I don't want to even say in the background, but they were always part of the scene. But pretty soon there was sort of a feeling that formal poets wanted to make a little bit more noise than they had been. And so a couple of very fine critics came to the rescue, Dana Gioia being one of them, and Tony Barnstone, and there were a few more who wrote about the joys and the advantages of knowing how to write in forms. And so it was sort of tacitly decided, I think, among the people who were writing formal poems to just give in and surrender and smile. Because they were talking in a serious, non-archaic and non-dorky way I have here. And it's because we also decided that it's pretty obvious that there was no battle to be won here. It was a given that most American and English poetry is written free verse, but that's really okay because we've carved out a niche for ourselves, and we know more than they do, unless they consciously already know as much as we do and have consciously decided not to write in forms, which is okay too. I don't want to be at war. But the best poets, I'll add, who write in free verse also know a lot about form. They have a pretty deep knowledge and appreciation of the traditional forms that they have chosen not to use. And those poems and poets are the shoulders upon which we stand, folks, no matter how many free verse poems we write. As for me, I write free verse sometimes, but I love writing in forms. Forms tend to force me to write better poems. Not every time, but often enough to get my attention. For me, they're a little bit like puzzles or word games. There's that aspect to them. They can even serve as cheat sheets if you're trying to memorize something. You know that a rhymed poem metered is a lot easier to memorize when rhyme and meter are present. But more important, forms can actually help you express certain feelings that aren't always easy to express in free verse. You'd think that this was the opposite, but it's not. It's not, because the form itself serves as a little barricade, like a little circle of orange cones around you and your topic, a little moat of distance between messenger and message. And I find that true if I'm writing about something very difficult. I can get into it more, I want to say easily, gracefully, something, with a form to fill than splattering it all over the page, as so many, especially during the height of the confessionals, as so many poets do. And I will add that forms can let you dance in a box. I know many of you have heard me say this before. It's an expression that was given to me by a wonderful formalist poet whose name is Rina Espaillat. And if you're not familiar with her poems, run, do not walk to your nearest bookshop or library and take out one or more of her collections. She's, I think, in her early 90s now. And she's still going strong. She's running a workshop in New England someplace, and she's still cranking out poems, beautiful poems that she had, and she hasn't, slowed down a bit. But anyway, talking about this dancing in a box, she makes it clear that you don't want to use the page as just a dumping ground. You want to use it as a vessel with built-in contours and curvatures that you are sort of challenged to fill. So I'll turn to this history section on your handout. Do you have one of those? Tell me you have the handout. Well, I'm going to paraphrase it anyway. Good. I'm sort of, no, that's not the page. It's the very first page. Yeah, I will paraphrase, thank you, the quick history of the Villanelle by saying, by talking about how the form developed. Villanelles were born more or less in some form or another in the 17th century in Italy. And they started out as work songs chanted by peasants who worked the land for the neighborhood villas, Villanelle villas, in a call and response arrangement. A solo caller and a group response in time with the rhythms of the sowing or the reaping of the crops, whatever they were doing. And I have one here from, I will just read it, from Lombardy, and it's called Bella Ciao, which means goodbye, beautiful. And this is what there'd be a caller. I don't know which is which here, but I think that he would give the line, which is in this case, the boss is standing with his cane. And then the response would be, Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. If we slow down, we can feel the pain. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Well, that's a long way from a complicated villanelle, but it's spontaneous, it's fun, it lends itself to a certain bit of improv if you want to do it. And it did serve as a sort of a basis for dance, these work songs that when they weren't being sung while working, but they became sort of the rustic version of the madrigal. And they even shuffled their way over to France, and the French people loved them and took them up and started writing some in French. But the French language is so different from ours that it didn't lend itself as well to the rhymes and things that are required and the repeats that we have in English, the more flexibility. Sometimes it's easier to rhyme, especially in Italian, because everything rhymes with itself. But English has a certain flexibility and things like slant rhyme and near rhyme that it just doesn't occur in French and Italian and other European languages. But anyway, the villanelle had its day in France, and then it's sort of went away like fad dances. Do you remember the mambo, for example, often do? And it never caught on in England at all until the late 19th century, where it was discovered more or less and polished up and glamorized by poets like Edmund Gosse, Oscar Wilde, and eventually by James Joyce, William Empson, even Sylvia Plath herself, who wrote a villanelle called The Mad Girl's Love Song, which is very good. It's very emotional, which shouldn't surprise you, but it's very good. And of course, Dylan Thomas, who's in your handout as I speak. But also in America, something that I call anyway, proto-villanelles were thriving in the Caribbean and in the American South as work songs on the plantations and other environments that enforced repetitive hard labor, like for example, chain gangs. Also banana boats. Here's one that you probably know. I'll do the call and you can do the response if you unmute yourself, if you feel like it. Okay. Work all night on a drink of rum.
Daylight come and we want
to go home.
Stack banana till the morning come. Daylight
come and we want to go home.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come
and we want to go home.
Okay, that was beautiful, beautiful. What it lacked in tunefulness, it made up for in enthusiasm. Thank you. But back to the villanelle as we know it today, back on the structure of the villanelle on the page that's on the screen. Here's what you need to know about the villanelle structure. And I'll stick to the traditional rules. You can fool around with it later after you are more comfy with the form and writing in the form. Is there any way that I can scroll down a little? Yeah, okay, great. But anyway, here's what you need to know. The length of a villanelle always, or it's not a villanelle, has 19 lines broken up into 5 tercets, otherwise known as 3-line stanzas, and a 6th stanza that contains 4 lines. So it's 3, 5, 9, 12, 15, and then the 4-line making it 19. Now, are you ready for this? The first and third lines of the poem should be a strong rhymed couplet that you've written in advance. And this is the Marilyn Taylor's secret to writing a successful villanelle. Write a rhymed couplet in advance. Those 2 lines will serve as your repeated lines, also known as repetends, or on a chart, lines A1 and A2. And they establish the poem's A rhyme. Are you with me so far? The repetends must be repeated, you ready? In their entirety and in a certain order throughout the poem, the whole line. And all your second lines, the middle lines in each stanza, have to rhyme with each other. These establish the poem's B rhyme. So the final stanza, which has the extra line in it, must contain in order the A rhyme, the B rhyme, and the two-lined rhyme couplet. And that's how you build a villanelle. Bye. No, I'm kidding. Wait a second. I'm trying so hard to get to scroll down with this a little bit now. Okay. All right. Here is a villanelle that illustrates what I'm saying and makes it much easier to understand and to internalize. There is one error in it that I found out about too late, and it's in stanza 4. It's the one that starts with love is a talent. There shouldn't be a period after talent. It should go, love is a talent you can never learn it. And so you just pretend that that period after talent isn't there. Okay, thank you. But I will read this and notice how I have color coded the lines, the repetends, which are lines A1 and A2, the B rhyme, which is the B rhymes all the way through, and then the little A rhyme, which has to rhyme with the repetends, but not be repeated there. It's new, but it rhymes with the like learn it and return it. You see in the second stanza, it's spurn it, the green ones. Can't be wiped out, burn it. And that fancy one, and the what, fourth stanza? Yeah, fourth stanza, unconcern it. I'll read all the way through this. And then earn it, and then yearn it. Okay, so I'll read it all the way through and follow along because it's more, looking at the example is more easy to understand and internalize, as I say, than my explaining it to you, which I know tends to sound a little bit like gibberish, but here we go. Unrequited Love. It was written by Susan MacLean, who is a wonderful poet that I've gotten to know a little bit. Love is a talent. You can never learn it. When it rubs your ankles like a cat, you can reject it, but you can't return it to its owner. Yell at it or spurn it, it curls up mutely on your welcome mat. Love is a talent. You can never learn it. Oh no, excuse me. Love is a talent you can never learn. It can't be wiped out or created. Burn it, starve it, devastate its habitat. You can reject it, but you can't return it to a state of placid unconcern. It pays you back with interest, tit for tat. Love is a talent you can never learn. It gives itself to those who cannot earn it. You may ignore its pleas, presuming that you can reject it, but you can't. Return it or not, someday you'll be the one to yearn. It figures. Irony is a Democrat. Love is a talent. You can never learn it. You can reject it, but you can't return it. Isn't that good? It's really good. The rhymed couplet that she uses throughout is obviously, love is a talent, you can never learn it. You can reject it, but you can't return it. And then she put those down on her piece of paper, and then she filled in all the middle rhymes with an easy to rhyme word like cat. Are you with me so far? And then for the A rhyme, she just had to find more rhymes for learn it and return it. And she found spurn it, burn it, unconcern it, earn it, and yearn it. It's not an easy thing to accomplish, but it can be done particularly when you have examples to follow. Let's see, what have I got next? I don't hear any little wails coming from the audience, so I guess. But notice how her poem follows the structure rules. Did I read the structure rules to you? On page 1? The first, yeah. Okay, thank you. Notice how it does have 19 lines. It has 5 3-line stanzas and 1 4-line stanza. It has only 2 rhymes throughout, learn it and cat. and it begins and ends with a rhymed couplet. Well, it doesn't exactly end, it doesn't exactly begin with a rhymed couplet because there's a line in the middle, but it ends with it. It's like this happy reunion of the two lines in the rhymed couplet that have been separated throughout all these stanzas until they can get back together again at the end. Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, where are you?
Are we aiming for any sort of meter here?
No. The
Okay,
answer to that is no. They
Okay.
usually have, there are metered villanelles, but I don't think that they're at all expected. They usually run from 8 or 9 or 10 syllables, because if you had a line in there that's strung out across the page, it would be weird. And it would be hard to sort of pay its way as part of the form. But Ralph, no,
Okay,
it doesn't have
thank
to be
you.
metrical.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. What am I doing here now?
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the example, it
Uh-huh.
says learn it like every other one. Is there some rule about when you repeat A1?
Yes. A1 is repeated in the second stanza, A2 in the third stanza, A1 in the fourth stanza, A2 in the fifth stanza, and then there's the happy reunion in the sixth stanza.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I should have probably emphasized that more, but the red color is your cue, kind of. But yeah. Would you like to try one, or would you like to hear some more examples first? I have a practice villanelle on page 3. Let's try it and see what happens. The couplet here is, well, the poem itself, which I do have the whole thing without the holes in it, is by Alicia Ostreicher. And the couplet that she used is, they need another story, another song, those good Republicans who voted wrong. Love that. I hope that you do too. And then for her middle line, her B rhyme, she chose need. The problem is they don't know what they need. And of course, all the other B rhyme lines have to rhyme with need. Okay. So we've got, they need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need, those good Republicans who voted wrong. And then you want to write, try doing this yourself, a new rhyme, a new line for line 4 that rhymes with song, but it's not song. Don't use song or wrong because they are part of the repetents. So write a line that rhymes with song and wrong. And I have some examples on the bottom of the page. Bong, gong, long, prong, strong. Do you want me to read them? Throng, along, belong, oblong, sarong, headstrong, Viet Cong, tag along, there's probably more, sing along, ping pong, Hong Kong. You can rhyme your second stanza, your V rhyme with any of those. I can't get this darn thing on the screen properly. There. So if you're on line 4, just write a line that rhymes with song, but it can't be song and it can't be the word wrong. You ready? Do it. Okay, then write line number 5 and rhyme it with the word need. I can't tell, how far along you are with this. In line 7, you want another new rhyme that rhymes with song, trying to keep it making some sort of sense. And line 8, I'm whipping through this pretty fast, but you'll see some examples. I don't expect this to be a finished product by any means. Line 8 should rhyme with need. Again, did I read those? Come on, move. Where are these? They're at the bottom of the page. Tori, are you there? Can you see the Eid rhymes? And
Marilyn, for those of us who have the handout, it's a good idea just to open the handout and have it on the
yes,
side.
page 3. I'm on page 3. Yeah. That's what I think is happening here. I can't get the, all right, well, the need rhymes are bead, some of them, bead, bleed, speed, plead, greed, need, read, seed, you know these, Swede, tweed, this is where your rhyming dictionary comes in handy, exceed, impede, centipede, chicken feed, tumbleweed, and you can go on from there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you, when you're doing these rhymes, do they have to, if they're singular,
No,
maybe be plural?
yes.
Like you
I
could say
did-
bongs or,
Slant, going slant, real slant is probably not a good idea when you're just starting out doing these, but I think that changing a singular to a plural or a plural to a singular or the tense of a verb, for example, unless it adds a syllable, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it still would qualify as a perfectly respectable villanelle.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. Does anybody have that lines 4, 5, and 6 done?
Oh,
Did I hear? think
I do.
heard
I
Brian.
do.
oh
Oh,
God.
really? Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Do I have a volunteer or two to read that? I'll read the first stanza and then, who said they did? Sarah?
I
Would you
do.
read?
I did
Yep.
too.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
They need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need, those good Republicans who voted wrong.
It might help them to smoke a bong. That's one way their minds would be freed. They need another story, another song.
Very well done. Your quick studies. Okay, somebody else read 4, 5, and 6? Mary?
Sure. They've been deluded for so long. They chant their lies till ears bleed. They need another story, another song. How can democracy stand strong when divisiveness splits and cleaves?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Mm.
Cleaves doesn't exactly rhyme with need. It's a slant rhyme, and I'll let it go for now. I just thought that to get started, we'd stick with the traditional, sort of stricter rules, and then you can loosen up like crazy. Does anyone else have a stanza? It
Yeah, I
does
got
now.
one.
I do.
Okay, Charles?
Yeah. They need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need. Those good Republicans who voted wrong. They belong to the throng that pleads for greed. They
Oh,
need another story, another song.
that's an interesting shortening of the lines. The lines of a villanelle are usually 8 to 10 syllables a piece, but there's nothing against the law about making them short. They would still, as I say, if you send it to a publication, they'd say, oh yeah, he's following the rules of the villanelle, albeit he's pushing the envelope.
Sure, I've got one.
Sunny, is that
Yeah,
who said
yeah.
that? Yeah.
They need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need. Those good Republicans who voted wrong, they listen to that noisy gong. It's like they cannot read. They need another story.
Yeah.
The song.
Well done. Well done. Yes, right. I only have a picture of a few of you alongside my screen here, so I don't want to ignore anybody who's
I have
dying.
one.
I have
I have
one.
one, Marilyn.
Hmm?
I have one, Marilyn.
I
Jan
think- Who?
Bosman, Jan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please. Jan Bosman, please.
They need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need. Those good Republicans who voted wrong. The crux is they all want to belong to mob thought that makes thinking minds bleed. They need another story, another song.
Well done. You are quick studies, I've got to tell you. This is, and that must mean that what I said made some sense, which makes me feel good. Is there somebody else? Ronnie? Did you just raise your
Oh,
voice?
Yeah.
I'm just counting to myself going,
Oh,
duh.
okay.
Okay, they need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need. Those good Republicans who voted wrong. They're ape men like King Kong. Their motivation, downright greed. They need another story, another song. They just appeal to Trump, his MAGA throng. They think they want to plant a seed. Good Republicans who voted wrong. They need another story, another song, one at a gentle, metered speed. And that's as far as I got.
Wow, that's far. Gosh, and I seem to sense that there is a similar political outlook here. If not, please don't be offended. I'm doing it just for the sake of the art, you know. Not. Good. Oh, who have I skipped that really wants to read?
I have another.
Okay, who's that?
Heidi.
Okay, Heidi.
We need another story, another song. The problem is they don't know what they need, those good Republicans who voted wrong. Their thoughts seem stuck in ping pong, only wearing tweed. They need another story, another song.
That's good. You really have the hang of it. And when I ask you to do the whole thing on your own and inventing your own first stanza, this will pay off big time. Okay, I'm going to go on now to the next page. And listen, if you feel like I'm ignoring you, just yell, okay? It's really okay. Oh, do you want to hear? No, you don't. I was going to say O Striker's song, but I like O Striker's poem, but I like this better. And I did this one already.
Sure.
I did this one already. Could I see page 4, please, Tori? Yes, we are at the point at which I have asked some of the people in advance that I knew were coming to read some examples for me.
Could everybody mute? Could everybody mute their audio, please?
Good idea. Okay. Should I mute mine? No, I'm the talker. I asked, as I said, some people in advance that I knew were coming. And this is no sign, this is not a sign of favoritism or anything of the kind. I just knew they were all good readers. And they very kindly said that they would read 8 examples that will be amazingly enlightening and educational for you when you're writing your Villanelle. So I was wondering, is Peter Sherrill here?
I am here.
Peter, hi. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
coming. And would you be good enough to read "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night"? Before you start, though, I want to read the rhymed couplet in each of these first. The rhymed couplet, the couplet that Dylan Thomas used, this famous poem: "Do not go gentle into that good night, rage, rage against the dying of the light." But you'll note he follows all the rules. Okay, Peter, you're on.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
beautifully read. Yes, clap, clap, clap. That was really beautifully read. And you'll notice that Thomas he end stopped many of his lines, not all of them, but which is something that the poem, Susan MacLean's poem, Unrequited Love, did not do. She enjammed, you know this word, went over to the next line with no punctuation or any other pause after each line. But Thomas really did beautifully, even though every line is end stopped. Very graceful. Of course, the language to us sounds a little bit antiquated, but he lived in a time of, before things got quite as casual in poetry as they are now. And it still sort of reverberates, I think. I don't know how anyone cannot love this and sort of be afraid when you read it and understanding. I think it's great. But in another mood entirely of Villanelle, with a completely different kind of voice, Backup Plan by A.M. Juster, who also goes as Mike. I think I asked Jeffrey Johannes to read this, didn't I, Jeffrey?
You did.
Would you do so?
I will. Backup Plan by A.M. Juster. If I were single once again, not that I'm really planning, dear, I would indulge like other men. I'd beg the low-fat regimen and live on burgers, ribs, and beer. If I were single once again, there would be Fritos in the den and napkin rings would disappear. I would indulge like other men, not shave or floss and sleep past 10. My feelings could be insecure. If I were single once again and free to leave the seat up when my heart desired, it is clear I would indulge like other men. Although I would be helpless then and yearn for your return, I fear if I were single once again, I would indulge like other men.
Beautifully done. Thank you. In the third to the last stanza, what did you read? Insecure, but the word is actually insincere. My feelings.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well done. See, this is
It's my bifocals.
Do not go gentle into that good night, Jeffrey. This shows that Villanelles can be done as light verse or lightish verse. And I think that this one is very well written, and it was certainly well read. Okay, can I scroll down? Thank you very much. Lake Michigan Inlet by David Southward, who is a Milwaukee poet who is in my book club now and used to be in my poetry group with Phyllis Wax, who is here. And it was written by, again, how did I start this sentence? It was written by David Southward. And I have asked, who did I ask? Estella, didn't I? To read this poem. Estella,
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Did you want to read Michigan Inlet?
Yes, I would. I'll read the couplet first. Excuse me. Whoever just said
Oh,
something.
okay.
Its ripples strum the banks of grassy dunes, cooling your feet on summer afternoons. Take it away,
Okay.
Estella.
Its ripples strum the banks of grassy dunes where kids prance in a passing jet ski's wake, cooling your feet on summer afternoons. You try to picture prehistoric Junes, the glacial force, the eons it must take for ripples to strum the banks of grassy dunes, until the echolalia of the loons reminds you that some truths are too opaque. Just cool your feet. On summer afternoons, this blue, a kindred blueness in you swoons. The only thing to do is to partake in ripples that strum the banks of grassy dunes and enter by raft, yacht, kayak, or pontoon, a basin wide enough to quench your ache or cool your feet on summer afternoons. A simple beauty, common as the moon's attracts us to the shoals of this great lake, whose ripples strum the banks of grassy dunes and cool the feet on summer afternoons.
Thank you so much. Do I have a typo there that says feel?
Yeah.
The last line kind of destroys it, doesn't it? But that was beautifully read. So thank you so much. And thank you for saying feet, because you know what he meant. Yeah, you see, then you sort of get the hang of what's being done here, though I think with the samples that you read earlier, isn't going to take you long to get the hang of these poems, of this form, I mean. Did someone have a question for me when I interrupted, because my voice seems to...
I had a comment, Marilyn, is that the strong verbs, I think, really work, and some strong imagery. The ripples strum the banks. That's just a great verb. You know,
Yes,
it's
it is.
a pretty
Really
original
good.
way to look at that.
Above and beyond the form, you know.
Yeah.
And that is what one has to do, is to never let the form wreck the content. The content always takes precedence, no matter how hard you have to work to find the exact word. Never succumb, you know, to lesser words, verbs, and nouns and rhymes, unless you, well, never.
I have a question, quick question.
Yes,
How do you know you have a good 2 lines?
Well, we're getting to that. We're going to do a little practice.
Okay.
9 couplets.
And Marilyn, I have a question.
Yes.
For the most part, so in this one, the cooling your feet on summer afternoons, and then in stanza 3, it's just cool your feet.
Yeah.
And then it's or cool your feet, and it's and cool the feet. So
Yes.
there's some variation,
Yes.
and I take it that is accepted.
That is accepted. Yeah. I tried to keep these relatively regular according to the strict rules, but you know, you lose a lot of really good villanelles if you're too strict with it. In other words, the content should supersede the form always. And he does this beautifully. Instead of by rote repeating those lines exactly. So yeah, there's some flexibility here. Villanelle for Darcy by Jerome Betts, who's a Brit. And I don't know, I think it should be read in a British accent, but Betty Parker reads beautifully. So I'll let her do it. Evidently, there's been a death in the family.
Do you want to do the couplet first?
Oh yes, Darcy the diabetic cat has died, a life remembered with no little pride.
Darcy the diabetic cat has died. His fans were told by email recently, a life remembered with no little pride. The Fiat driver now feels mortified to think, because he simply failed to see, Darcy the diabetic cat has died. Was this the fatal 9th and last he'd tried? Whatever, it will surely prove to be a life remembered with no little pride. His poor squashed frame has been discreetly fried, with all involved expressing sympathy that Darcy the diabetic cat has died. The people down the road could not abide the flattening of such fine felinity, a life remembered with no little pride. Some of them sent cards, others cried, and stuck this sign upon his favorite tree. Darcy, the diabetic cat, has died, a life remembered with no little pride.
Thank you. A person could write an elegy or an ode, a grief poem really, without the humor that is obviously in this one, but it lends itself very well to kind of an ode like, what is the word that I'm looking for? Kind of a,
I think it's kind of mock solemnity. Is that
Yeah,
true?
this is mock solemnity. Yeah, that's very good.
I
Yeah,
think it's hilarious.
it is. It's funny.
And I think the B rhymes are really pretty interesting.
Well, they're pretty simple words. Recently,
C, B, sympathy.
Felinity or felinity.
Felinity, I think he made up, don't you?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Sure, that can be done if it's done in good humor. And tree, yeah, those B rhymes are so natural and they don't make it sound like the poet was trying too hard to get it to fit the form. Thank you. That was beautifully read, Betty. A few more here. Joan Johannes. This was before the days of matchmaking online. This was in the days, it was written by Wendy Cope back in the 70s, 60s? I don't know, when you put your lovelorn, notes in the personal section of magazines. And this is hers. This is Wendy Cope's. The couplet is, can someone make my simple wish come true? Do you live in North London? Is it you? Okay.
Okay. Lonely Hearts. Can someone make my simple wish come true? Male biker seeks female for touring fun. Do you live in North London? Is it you? Gay vegetarian whose friends are few. I'm into music, Shakespeare, and the sun. Can someone make my simple wish come true? Executive in search of something new. Perhaps bisexual woman, arty, young. Do you live in North London? Is it you? Successful, straight, and solvent. I am too. Attractive Jewish lady with a son. Can someone make my simple wish come true? I'm Libran, inexperienced and blue, need slim non-smoker under 21. Do you live in North London? Is it you? Please write with photo to box 152. Who knows where it may lead once we've begun? Can someone make my simple wish come true? Do you live in North London? Is it you?
I think that's just a winner. I wonder how that would go online. Probably not very well, having never tried it. But yeah, I think she's hilarious. Wendy Cope. Try to find a copy of one of her books too. She's terrific. I believe, maybe I'm misspeaking here, but she was asked to be poet laureate of England and turned it down when I think it was during Brexit, and she said nothing doing. So somebody else is. I think I may be a little bit screwed up. It might have been a different award, but she's really quite a poet.
What's the lady's last name? Wendy.
Like she copes with things well. C-O-P-E.
Copes.
Yeah.
C-O-P-E-S?
No S. Cope.
Cope. Thank you.
You're welcome. This one, let's see. No, go up a little. Oh, wait, no, Coming to Terms Over Coffee. Yeah, I love this poem. And I can't find it. No, there it is. This was written by Leslie Mansour, who is a California poet with a great sense of humor and also a beautiful singing voice, but that's neither here nor there. Who did I ask to sing that? Oh, Ronnie.
Me.
Yes, right. Sing, I meant read. I'd never fall in love with you. Affection's fine, and it will do.
Coming to Terms Over Coffee by Leslie Mansour. I'd never fall in love with you. Love fizzles out and mortifies. Affection's fine, and it will do. Besides, love's common as bamboo and flits about like butterflies. How could I fall in love with you and send you flowery billet doux, or hit upon you otherwise? Affection's fine, and it will do. Lovers are fickle and untrue. They tell each other little lies. I'd never fall in love with you. Stoop to some secret rendezvous and be reduced to quivering sighs. Affection's fine, and it will do. So pour your famous foreign brew as dark and jolting as your eyes. I'll never fall in love with you. Affection's fine, and it will do.
Beautifully read. And do you believe her in those last few
No,
stanzas?
of course not.
No, we don't believe her. I think that it's wonderful, sort of deadpan. I think she did a beautiful job, and you did a beautiful job reading it. A couple. I'm going to end with a couple that are a little more serious. This is Barbara Crooker's autobiographical poem. Sort of autobiographical. This issue did happen in her life when her son was born. Turned out that he was indeed autistic. So, diagnosis autism by Barbara Crooker. Is Peggy Rusga here? Peggy?
Yeah.
Oh, where are you?
I saw her.
Did you? Okay. Well, anyway, I'm here to get my baby out of jail. I will not falter, neither will I fail. Peggy, are you there? And if so, would you read the whole thing?
I am here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Diagnosis, autism. I'm here to get my baby out of jail. It's his own mind that's getting in the way. I will not falter, neither will I fail. We're on a one-way train that tracks against the rail. He has no words, or are there none to say? I'm here to get my baby out of jail. My time is what I spend to make the bail, and I will give all that it takes to pay. I will not falter, neither will I fail. Like trying to drain the ocean with a pail is how I feel in facing each new day. I'm here to get my baby out of jail. He's on the sea in a boat without a sail or rudder and must learn to find the way. I will not falter, neither will I fail. And though this task is hard and I am frail, and nothing can be done, the doctors say, I'm here to get my baby out of jail, and I will not falter, neither will I fail. Ooh.
Very, very moving, very moving. So obviously the form lends itself well to meditative. That is the word I was looking for, to things that are meditative, that kind of expand as they go and get more intense as they go through the poem. And I think this one does exactly that.
Marilyn, can I ask a question?
Sure.
It seems that in this poem, it's all right to repeat some of the rhyming words. They're not new each time. Say and way, for example, appears a couple times. So is
yeah, it's done. It's done. And if you're, one can do it.
Well, it doesn't seem repetitive because the thoughts and the whole lines are significantly different.
Yes,
But
well, let's see, those B rhymes, way, say, pay, day, way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think she was doing it purposefully because they're almost like in order.
okay.
Yeah. You can take some liberties, I think. And you are all advanced poets, and I think that you can, break those rules without breaking the form to pieces without any problem that way.
So don't break them willy-nilly.
Exactly. Hey, well done. That rhymes. And finally, Lisa Vihos's poem. I don't know the original Barbara Brown Taylor poem that she based this on, but I do I think the title comes from a poem by Barbara Brown Taylor, whom I really don't know, but Lisa certainly did a wonderful job with it. And the couplet goes, "We come from the furnace of the stars, together, all this world is ours." Yeah. So who's reading that? I forgot.
I am Marilyn. Nancy.
Oh, of course you are, Nancy. Sorry.
We come from the furnace of the stars, and in their blazing light we beam. Together, all this world is ours. Our lives rain down as showers, and all the waters and all the streams flow from the furnace of the stars. And all this love that ever flowers, tied to each other on threaded seam. Together, all this world is ours. In every color, every hour, every place where dreamers dream, we come from the furnace of the stars. Rise up in truth to power and do not fear its grimy gleam. Together, all this world is ours. With voices raised, we tower, we care, we share, we are, we seem. Together, all this world is ours. We come from the furnace of the stars.
Lovely. Again,
I just love that repetant. I think that's terrific.
yes, I do too. It's really lovely. And again, we have the meditative effect here that seems to be suited for the form and vice versa.
Hey, Marilyn,
Yes.
this is the form that I had first been introduced to, where the A1 and A2 are flipped at the end.
That can be done. Again, it's not according to the rules.
I like what happens when that's done.
That can work very, very well. And once you've gotten that far through the poem, you're allowed a whole lots of things. What I introduced first was the strictest form of the poem, and these poets, as well as you all, can do some variations of that type. And Robert, if it's adding to the effect of the poem, great, because it isn't really breaking a rule, a big rule. It's a tiny rule, and it's a rule that works and pays off. Where is my rhymed couplet page? I've lost it entirely. Oh, here. Yeah. Well, we'll move along. I think that hearing those poems, even though it's not doing writing, because in class it's just hard to suddenly come up with something, though you've done it very well. Here are some rhymed couplets that you can use if you want to verbatim for the poem that you're going to do in the next month and then send to Tori, or you can certainly make up your own. But here are just some to inspire you just for fun. Can I have some volunteers to read Phyllis McGinley's lines? Dallas?
I can read, Marilyn.
Dallas, did you just say that?
I said I would be happy to.
Oh, good, thank you.
We can trade whoever just volunteered.
That's Betty, I think. Okay.
When I have fears that I may cease to be, I have another drink or two or three. I mean the opposite of what I say. You've got it now. No, it's the other way.
Okay, you read two. I'm just trying to have these read one by one and see. Actually, I have a whole poem by Bruce Bennett at the end of this class that you'll like. Thank you very much, Dallas.
Sure.
Michael Birch, I don't know his work at all. I don't know him, but I came across all these little gems that I sometimes see in the journal Light Verse. He's very funny. And he seems to come up with these things that would work beautifully in a Villanelle. Can somebody read It's Not That?
It's not that every leaf must finally fall. It's just that we can never catch them all.
True, very true. And next,
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Government and the arts, they just don't mix. That bed of roses, folks, is full of pricks.
He says it like he means it.
I lived as best I could, and then I died. Be careful where you step. The grave is wide.
Yeah. Somebody else for I do not?
I can do that.
Okay.
I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am.
Imagine how that would work with an extended Villanelle. I think it would be a real hit. Everybody knows that pretty well. Thank you. Thank you. And Melissa Balmain is the editor of Light Verse, and she's speaking as the editor in this couplet, this one that starts with thanks.
Thanks for showing us your so-called work. It's obvious that you're a clueless jerk.
That'd work, repeated throughout the poem. And here's another one by Leslie Mansour. A reader, please.
It's easy to forget what brought us here, but still, it's fun pretending every year.
This is what you read at this is the thing, what you say at poetry conferences. Like AWP or something like that. It's fun pretending every year. Yeah. Okay, how about some Robert Frost from somebody?
I can take that one.
Okay.
Forgive, O Lord, my little jokes on thee, and I'll forgive the great big one on me.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Fabulous. And we couldn't have rhymed couplets without Ogden Nash. Somebody up to that one?
I can do it, Marilyn.
Okay.
Tell me, oh octopus, I begs, is those things arms or is they legs?
I don't know how that would expand, but I think it might be just hilarious.
These are
And
hilarious.
here's Julie Kane, who is an expert on the Villanelle. She is the person who wrote the article on the Villanelle in Wikipedia. She's just a genius, and she's also a wonderful person. But I love her couplet. Somebody?
One.
Okay.
Clouds are pretty up above, but shitty in the middle of.
I could see how that would work, you know. And then, of course, thank you all so much for reading these. I had fun collecting them, and I'm allowing you, if you are stuck and can't think, though I don't think that you will, but you can use these as they are if you want for your take-home Villanelle. Okay. Can you please turn, what page is that? I don't know.
I think it's 9.
Okay. Could you turn then to page 10? I think it's the one with the cartoon.
9.
It's 9.
9. Okay. Sorry. I think I changed it. I just changed the order. What this sort of illustrates what I'm trying to say by don't wreck the content by sticking to the form. These are two absolutely terrible villanelles. And I don't know these people, and I would never want to insult them. They're probably lovely people, but I think they were just starting out and don't know really quite what they're doing. I think I'll just read them really quickly. What time is it? Yike. I dreamt a dream, my dreams. I dreamt a dream last night. It had caused me not to awaken. In my dream book, I write. Some dreams are about love, about a love lost and broken. A dream I dreamt last night. I had heartache and strife. The dream I felt is now taken. To my dream book I write. Some dreams are very light. Good dreams come only now and then. Most dreams I dream at night. I wish to not highlight. They leave me sad and crestfallen. In my dream book I write how dreams will come tonight. Until I have reawakened, I dreamt a dream last night. In my dream book I write. Please. I mean, I think it was probably written by somebody very young and innocent, and I don't want to be mean, but don't you agree? Why don't you be mean and evil like me? No, nobody wants to be. Okay, you're better people than I am. I won't read this whole thing. Let's go frolic on the landscape of spring and relish jubilant nature's beauty that satiates our glorious wondering, exuding brightness from its paths that bring showers of bliss in limitless bounty. Let's go frolic on the landscape of spring. I want to read one more stanza. Bellowing songs, what? Of insects. Insects don't bellow. Bellowing songs of insects and birds ring, thanking God's love and graces aplenty, while flower trees raise their hands adoring. You see how many ways this doesn't work? And again, I don't want to sound bitchy, and I know that I do, but I really think that maybe these two poets could turn to another hobby. Oh, I'm so hot. And I'm not hearing any friendly laughter either because you're all muted. I'm going to die.
Laughing.
Only because we're muted, Marilyn.
Good, I hope so.
Well, and where did that flower tree line come from? That's supposed to be a repetent, and it's new, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then they do the same thing with Catch Them Under the Sun Rays Offering. So they went astray with the form. Other than that.
Poets who lost their way.
Other than that, it's still horrible.
Okay. They might not have lost their way. They might never have known their way.
True. Although I'd hate for anyone to see my early things.
I think maybe this last one for me is a caution that something ing is just too low down to be using in that way, because ing can hang on to almost every word you want. So don't choose ing as your rhyme.
I think we lost Marilyn.
Some of the words here are not using ing. I mean, it's spring and bring, but then adding all of those, words that don't rhyme, but wonder.
Right, flaring, offering, wondering, mirroring. It doesn't seem, I was thinking about that for the first one too. There's still a need to be kind of careful, very careful with what you're choosing to rhyme.
Where is Marilyn?
Maybe this was so bad she fainted.
I'm checking my email to see if what happened. Well, I hope she signs back on.
Does anyone have her text number to send her a quick note?
I do not have her text. I just have her email.
I'm back.
Woo, yay!
Oh, thank heavens. I did a bad thing. I'm so sorry. Oh, Lord.
That's okay, as long as you're back.
I'm back. I'm
just about to email you, so.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I just kept clicking frantically. This happens to me sometimes. Anyway, thank you for your patience. I'm really sorry. Where was I?
Well, we critiqued the two sonnets, the two villanelles that were questionable.
Yes, right, exactly. And I hope I didn't come across as the meanest person in the world, but you have to see what not to do too, really.
We enjoyed talking among ourselves,
That's
so.
good. I'm glad. That makes me feel
You
better.
weren't near so mean as we were.
Okay, finally, I want you to, okay, one more thing I want to say about content. The form doesn't lend itself very well to stories. Don't tell a story through a villanelle where, you know, it develops as you go through the stanzas. It's better to change the intensity of your villanelle, and because it doesn't work too well. It tends to pull too hard at the rules if you're trying to tell a story. So just intensify a little bit, stanza by stanza, and also don't just do a replay. Like say if it's like flowers, and don't use trite rhymes. I think that's really all I'm trying to say. Flowers and hours and bowers of flowers for hours, you know, and that sort of thing. Try to even make your short B rhymes, if they're short, fresh rhymes are into, but don't try to tell a story. I just warn you in advance, it usually doesn't work. Just meditate on something, even if it's something light, or if it's something not light at all, that's perfectly fine too. I'd like you to write your own new villanelle. You can either change, how much time do we have left?
15 minutes.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'd like for you to get started maybe on your new original villanelle that you'll finish up. You can choose your couplet from the list on page 9, or whatever page that was, or write your own off the cuff right now. And I'd like you to fill in the A1 and A2 lines with the first and second lines of your chosen couplet. I'm saying here, don't use slant rhymes to end lines 1 and 2. Use exact rhymes if you can for this experiment. Oh, good. Getting started with a couplet might seem daunting, but in the same way that tying your shoes is less difficult than written shoe trying instructions might imply, it's really pretty simple in practice. Furthermore, success is practically guaranteed if you write your villanelle by starting out with a rhymed couplet. If you must, use one from the previous page for practice. You want to try this for about 10 minutes? And then we can, if anybody is ready to maybe read part of it, I don't expect it to be completed by any means, we could have a little mini poetry reading. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
You want
ready?
to read Bruce's villanelle?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I'll read Bruce's villanelle first. Can you hold on just a second? Bruce Bennett, who I mentioned before, wrote a wonderful villanelle, and can they see it? I don't think so. No, I have to read it.
We can see it, Marilyn.
Can you? Okay, How to Write a Villanelle by Bruce Bennett. You find a line that sounds good. It might do, but one is not enough. You have to try to come up with another. It takes 2 that bear repeating, that can get you through, that let you know the thing is going to fly. First, find one line that sounds good. That will do. Then pair it with a partner. Just a few rhymes are required. Stringent rules apply, but you're on top of things once you have 2 lines that go well together. Though it's true, you need to find one more to satisfy the form's demands, a B rhyme. When you do, remembering that all B rhymes are new and that the whole must flow as well as tie neatly together, weaving in the 2 lines that repeat, yet change as you review what's come before, what's still to come. But why complicate matters? All you've got to do is find one line to start with. Make that 2. The guy has a wonderful sense of humor, I think, but I thought that would be something that would stimulate you to write your own. And now you'll have a few minutes to do just that.
Marilyn,
Yes.
would you comment on his, I'd like to see his again, but
Okay, sure.
he doesn't start every stanza with a capital, but some he does.
Mm-hmm.
even
That
though
doesn't matter. It's just like
Just-
when you're writing a sonnet or something, Phyllis. It's you certainly don't need to start each line with a
I
capital.
realize that, but
Yeah.
he has started using a form now in the 1, 2, 3, 4th stanza. When you do remembering, okay, that continues. The 5th stanza in the 2 lines that repeat, that continues too. So lines should not be capitalized.
That's true. It could be the typist.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
No, I think he's capitalizing exactly as you would in writing prose. He's capitalizing the first word in a sentence.
But that isn't the first word of a
Isn't
sentence.
always,
It's the
though.
continuation of a sentence.
Yeah, like between the second to last and the last stanza, the two.
Oh, I'm okay. I missed that.
Yeah. In fact, that's the case also between the first and the second stanza. Yeah, it was either me or not. I thought I retyped it correctly, but that's a good observation, Phyllis. Usually, of course, I say that, and you all probably know this too, that capitalizing every line, new line, is occasionally okay, depending on what you're doing. Like if you're writing a list poem or something like that, and every line is a separate sentence, but usually just as a habit to capitalize the first line, or if your computer refuses to let you not do that, there are ways around that. I say forget the starting every line with a capital letter. That's nonsense. There may have been a time about 180, 60 years ago when that was more common, but it really isn't anymore. So are you ready to start your Villanelles and see how far you get? And I was hoping, Tori, that you might tell me when we might have enough time left to have people read a few. I don't seem to have a timer here.
It's 8:20, so I mean, if people don't mind staying after for 5 minutes, otherwise maybe write for 5 minutes and read for 5 minutes.
That sounds good. These are quick learners. So write and see how far you get. You certainly don't even have to come close to completing it. Do they get a 1-minute warning, Tori? Do they get a 1-minute warning?
Sure, I'll give them a 1-minute warning. 1 minute.
Okay. 59, 58.
Marilyn, I've got one.
Do you?
Yeah, I have to admit, though, that I've been working on this one for a while.
Oh, you cheated.
Did I cheat?
Yeah, no kidding.
Uh,
Well, should this be a signal for us to sort of stop where we are? And then carry on when you get home, because we'll hear Charles and anybody else that has a good start. Let me rephrase that.
Even if somebody has a good couplet, I think it's worth.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Charles, you go ahead and read what you have.
Okay. I just want to say that I've had in my adult life 2 murders fairly close to me. And this murder occurred in a training group, a hypnosis training group.
Oh, good.
So it was spooky for all of us.
I'll bet.
The title is Spooked. Though she's missing, her ghost is brooding. You have a smooth delivery, she said. Rage, rage against crimes of the night. Her colleagues filled the training room, intimating she'd found her way into our heads. Though she's missing, her ghost is brooding. Her shadow remains like midnight spooking. From the beginning, she'd nothing to dread. Rage, rage against crimes of the night. She never knew that evil was lurking. None of us knew that she would be dead. Though she's missing, her ghost is brooding. We're stalked by loss so wounding. You have a smooth delivery, she said. Rage, rage against the crimes of the night. Only the devil stalker knew of blood shed. There was no protection, no rescuing night. Though she's missing, her ghost is brooding. Rage, rage against crimes of the night.
Wow, I can tell that you've been working on it, Charles.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Did you have a couplet, a line? I couldn't quite hear the repeats. Could you read lines 1 and 3?
Lines 1 and 2. Though she's missing, her ghost is brooding. You have a smooth delivery, she said. Rage, rage against crimes of the night.
I see. Well, the rhymes are a little bit off because lines A1 and A2, if you'll see from the chart, should rhyme with each other.
Okay.
But that should take tinkering, and that's what you have a month to do.
Yeah, I'll take another look at it, definitely.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they should rhyme with each other.
Yeah.
Do I have another volunteer? Oh, come on. Even if it's as Tori pointed out, it could be somebody who just has a good couplet.
Okay, I'll go, but I don't have much.
Well, how can you? Here we are.
Okay. Finding the right bra is no easy task in a world of pads and underwires, and absent for sure trained staff to ask in stores where no one wears a mask. A fitting's everything, what one requires. Finding the right bra's no easy task. I take a D cup, I won't bask. And that's as far as I got.
Oh, God. Don't go any further. No, I'm kidding. Oh, that was really, really good. That's got a great start. And if you want, to use it as the one that you read to us in July, you feel absolutely free.
Oh, please do.
Yes, right. Do we have any other volunteers? And again, this is tough. Oh, Mary Peters.
I have a short start. So my couplet is, all is said and nothing's done. The committee adjourns until next time. All is said and nothing's done. The committee adjourns until next time. Soapboxes have been stood upon. Cotton candy conjectures have been spawned. Minutes recorded, treasurers' reports, tally dimes. All is said and nothing's done. Got a little.
Nicely repeated, but remember to rhyme the couplet for lines A1 and A2, excuse me. The first and third lines. Yeah, I don't think.
I switched them around. Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I'll fix it.
Do that.
Okay, I'll fix that.
That's good. That's good. Yes. Who are
I
you?
have one that just has the first stanza and the last 3 lines of the last stanza.
Well, that's a good start. Then just fill in the middle. Go ahead, Maisie.
Okay. If you just break rules willy-nilly, filling a villanelle with forced rhyme, you may end up sounding silly.
Good.
It's not like you commit a crime if you break rules willy-nilly. It's just you may end up sounding silly.
Well, that's a good start. And I think writing a villanelle on a villanelle is a fun project, a fun thing to try. So thanks.
I could make a comment.
Yes.
If I may.
Certainly.
I used part of our write time to just look up a villanelle that I had written previously.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it was a story. So I wondered what it is about a story that you thought didn't work for a villanelle, that the strength of a villanelle is sort of the repetition of the same thought so that it, as you said, builds.
Standing on it. Yeah. Huh. Well, can you, Lucy, why don't you read it for us? Because you're making a good point here. I made a statement. That was an error.
This is called I Discovered Quills, and you'll see it's written from the dog's point of view. I ran in darkness toward a scented thrill. Straightway, sharp agony, acute the fierce scream pain. 36 pointed barbs, she called them quill. She stumbled, followed cries in woods until her headlamp found me, gleamed on eyes insane. I writhed in darkness, no more scented thrill. She grabbed my collar, tugged against my will towards house for leash to call the vet, explained 36 pointed barbs by name of quill. In truck, the window cracked for night's air chill. I pawed my face, kept wailing wails profane. She drove in darkness, no more scented thrill. At last relief, the pliers and the skill of vet allowed some normalcy again from stabbing pointed barbs by name of quill. My mouth is free, but legs are hurting still from all those stabs, but inchmeal, I'll regain the urge to run in darkness towards a thrill, except towards porcupine with mane of quill.
Yes, that story does work. And I like the fact that you took the doggy's point of view. Oh dear. But I think that you didn't repeat the lines in their entirety as lines as the couplet lines in each stanza. I'd have to see it on a piece of paper before me before I make any big pronouncements. But did it sound like a certain reiteration, an exact reiteration of lines 1 and 3 reoccurred throughout the poem? I know that the last part, the rhymes did, and those were fine, thrill and quill. But
I took liberties about the A1 and A2, and they still had the rhyme, but they were slightly different. So
Yeah, that's sort of the reason behind the fact that I say that stories usually don't work unless they have some serious changes made to it. And that's what you can break the rules of a Villanelle. But I'm trying to get you to write that basic one and then take off from there and break all the rules you want. Like Bruce Bennett did in that poem. He broke a few rules too. Can I show you a couple of books that I think that you might find helpful? This one, maybe I need a bigger hole to show it.
You're fine. We can see it.
Okay, that's fine. It's good. It's called Love Affairs at the Villanelle, and I edited it with James Roberts in 2018. I'm trying to get that glare off of it. And it has villanelles from all kinds of people around the region, and a few from not. In fact, a couple of people that I featured on this class are in there, and it's really good. It just, if you want sort of an anthology of a lot of good villanelles. And then this one was edited by Julie Kane, and it's called Villanelles, and it's part of that Everyman's Literary Library, and it's published by Knopf. I think that's how you pronounce it, isn't it? Knopf, K-N-O-P-F. And it's wonderful because it has a beginning that explains all about villanelles, the history. If you're into this, it's really sensational. So it's skinny, and it starts out with the old French ones, and it moves right through to the contemporary ones, and then the pseudo postmodern ones that don't really look like villanelles to me anymore, but that's just me. I think I'll close by just reading a paragraph if I could, unless people have questions. Maybe I should have done that in a different order. But I have a wonderful paragraph here that Julie Kane actually wrote. The key, she says, to a good villanelle is to come up with two lines that are genuinely attracted to each other, but also wholly independent of each other, so that their final coupling will feel both inevitable and surprising. With its roots to dance, a good villanelle is like a good romantic relationship. So I think that's pretty cute. And again, if there is a question or two and you don't mind sticking around for the answer, it'll probably be a brief answer. Please feel free. And you're all muted, so if you have questions, I wouldn't be able to hear them anyway.
What's our assignment?
Oh, yes. Oh, that. You are to write a villanelle on your own and send it to Tori by July 11th. And you can either use one of the prefabricated couplets that were on one of the pages in your handout, or you can come up with a whole new one. But just one villanelle to share and have workshopped by July 11th. Am I correct there, Tori?
Yep. July 11th by midnight, and then compile them for everybody. And if there's more than we can cover in 90 minutes, I'll do a random drawing, but I'll share every poem that people submit.
Ronnie?
And there was some questions in the chat, so I will compile and get answers for you. And,
okay.
And send it as follow-up.
Okay, that's fine.
That was my bye-bye.
Oh, that was your bye-bye? Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank
you. Sorry I lost you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you,
You're
Tori,
very
for
welcome.
organizing it.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Marilyn.
evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marilyn. Thank you,
Thank
Tori.
you. This was fun. You're all great. Yay.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. I don't know who said that, but I love you, whoever you are. Great. Good. Well, I'll see you on July, whatever that is. Not the due date for the poem is the 11th, but the
Yep.
next
And
meeting is
the session's on July 14th.
July
A
14th.
couple questions for you, Marilyn, after the fact, but look for those tomorrow.
Okay, be glad to do it. And then am I to answer them on an email or at the next session?
Yeah. I'll email you some questions just so I can follow up with folks.
Okay, great.
But yeah.
Thank you. And I know I'll see some of you before too long.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think you did great.
Do you? Thank you. This is my first time.
Yeah,
I've
you
never
did
taught
great.
I've never taught online before. I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
on, on Zoom meetings, but I've never had to sort of be the one.
Oh, yeah. No, you did fine.
Thank you.
Except for that brief hop off, I think you did.
Yeah, God. I was so, my heart just sank, but I found you again. Yay.
Yes. Great job. So I'll be in touch.
Okay, wonderful, Tori. Thank you.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Carolee, who's ever still here.